Hello and welcome back to the Winning Agendas coverage of the RTSL 2021. My name's Jesse Marshall. Got a bit of light glare in the background because for a change I'm actually playing in the morning, which is nice. Get some interesting time zones between US and Australian and European players, but this is quite a sociable time. It's sort of 10:30 in the morning, so feeling pretty good here. Feeling reasonable about this hand too. So we've got a Red Scare, which is a pretty good US turn one headline. Inhibiting the Soviets' spread on turn one can be extremely helpful, especially since we haven't got all extremely powerful Soviet events like Korean War and Arab-Israeli War. They don't necessarily want to event those on turn one when they have them in hand. We don't have either of the D cards, but we do have a few red cards, which increases the chance that they've got some blue cards in hand. Obviously, the blue cards in the early war are not particularly powerful, but them eventing our events at any point in the game is better than nothing. So, say good luck to our opponent. We'll finish setting up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And I think if we're going to headline Red Scare, their coup is going to be a little bit worse, but their events are going to be all powerful. I mean, I prefer 4-4-2 anyway. Getting couped out of this region is going to particularly suck for us given we have good ops and we have good capacity to spread. But that being said, once we event Red Scare in the headline phase, we'd actually have amazing ops anyway. So I think holding on to Italy is probably more important rather than giving them the opening to socialist governments us there. So we'll just go ahead with that. We'll Red Scare to get started. I'm hoping for our Twitch viewers that my stream info updated properly. I updated on both Twitch and on OBS, so hoping that worked out all right. So they have had the stock go, so I'm very, very glad that we went with the 4-4-2 setup, because I think that was our biggest weakness. Hopefully they roll poorly, and they do. Okay. So big oof for our opponent, but also, I mean, they ended up going with a 3-up, so not all is lost. We'll try and hold containment towards the end of the turn. We'll also hold a goal. So the reason we'll do that is because of blockade. So we obviously don't want to lose it. West Germany. So we'll spread a little bit. I would like to overprotect Italy, but with them being under Red Scare, I just don't feel that it's the number one priority for us here. We're not going to be getting US-Japan this turn, but we do control Korean War a little bit, so we're probably not going to be getting US-Japan though before Korean War comes back again. So we need to kind of think about that in terms of prioritizing Korea. I want to put one into France because I do want to fill that up with a 2-up later in the turn. I don't want to play into Lebanon at Defcon 4. I think I don't mind playing into Egypt here though. Egypt and Saudi Arabia are both decent, but I think Malaysia is still better for us in terms of getting that access to Thailand. So I do feel now okay about how this has worked out. Obviously, our opponent rolling a 1 on their opening coup is just about as good as it can get, and having them under Red Scare is also nice. We've just got to make sure that we carefully and judiciously press our advantage that we've had with this good hand, because things can change pretty quickly. Our opponent also had a decent start. Like if they weren't Red Scared, headline Sotgov into a 4-up to coup is decent, but headline Sotgov into a 3-up coup is not as good, and rolling a 1 is about as bad as it gets. Well, it is as bad as it gets. So next there's an argument for just going France in case they have the scoring card, but I think it was correct to put pressure on other areas of the board, and particularly to protect Iran by going into Afghanistan, rather than just filling up France. So they had Asia scoring, which they're dumping now for 1 VP, which is okay. I think we'll play the Cambridge 5 for France. since we just want to put that pressure on. We don't particularly want to go into Thailand at Defcon 4. And we don't really need to coup right now. We can always Indo-Pakistani war for mill ops if we want to, and for a couple of VPs as an emergency. Like I'm not planning on doing that. But we'll see. Our opponent resisting cooing at the moment. Also resisting playing duck and cover, which is interesting. I guess they don't want to give us that Defcon reduction that they can kind of see that we're after here. So with that in mind, we are... I think this is about as safe a place as you can get to trigger Korean War. So we're just going to do that. They rolled well, but we get to just place into Korea. I mean, they have the China card, but we end the turn, you know, with them rolling really well and with one of their good events getting removed from the deck, back in the same place we started it, which is kind of, I think, what you have to try and do a little bit as the US in the early war here. We do need to degrade Defcon this turn though, so we've got 3 more action rounds. We need to degrade Defcon to protect Italy, so they don't event blockade. They just play into South Korea. Okay. So since blockade's gone, I'm not so crash hot on just holding on to this containment. Sorry, it's not necessary for us to hold on to the containment. We do probably want to space de Gaulle because it's not very playable, and we want a coup. So we can only really take one more country this turn. I'm pretty happy for that to be South Korea. I mean, even though the downside of that is that Asia's already been scored on turn 1. So let's just kind of think this back through. I kind of want to place into Egypt because getting a good Middle East score here would be nice. I also want to take South Korea, and I also want to degrade Defcon. But I also want to get this de Gaulle to space. So we can't do all of that. So we might have to hold the de Gaulle to be more aggressive this turn. That's the option, which requires cooing with the Arab-Israeli war on Iraq. Oh, sorry, one of the wars on Iraq. The other option is place 2 into South Korea. But I think I want to go 2 into Egypt in case they have Nasser. Then see what happens. Possibly coup. Maybe we can coup last. So let's, I think, go 2 into Egypt now. Yeah, let's do that. We also need to overprotect Italy. Okay, so they did have the Nasser, so that's why we went 2 rather than 1. So I think we can just leave Libya for now. The other option is here to coup Egypt. I don't mind that. Coup Egypt, and then we can play into... we still can't play into Thailand because Defcon is still going to 4 at the start of the next turn. I think we do want to coup Egypt eventually, but I think either way we're not playing into Thailand. So we can just go overprotect Italy and 2 into South Korea, I think. Maybe 1 into Afghanistan, actually. So they have to dedicate a 4-op to taking South Korea here, which is kind of worth it for them, but it does open up other tempo for us next turn because we've got so much access. So that's okay. So we will coup here. I mean, they know that we want to coup with our last action round. So they could, break West Germany or something, but I think that's pretty bad value for them to be doing that. So I'm okay with that. It was slightly unfortunate they had the Nasser there, but we did play around it somewhat by putting 2 in. I think it still leaves us in an okay position in the Middle East here. Yeah, so I mean, as far as turn one boards go for the US, you know, you can't, just because of the nature of the deck, you can't be winning absolutely everywhere. And you can't achieve everything that you want to achieve, but this is about as good a start as I think you can get for the US, aside from maybe us having Marshall Plan or something to really solidify Europe. Being able to have a pretty strong ops hand, plus negating their ability to spread by red scaring them, is just very, very powerful. Because the Soviet player really just does need those operations points on the board on turn one. Pardon me. And the US player, you know, does start with better positions on the board. So having the ops to be able to use those, plus the fact that they rolled poorly on their opening coup, has really given us a good start here. So as expected, they went ahead and broke West Germany there. So that's fine. I think we'll still coup here. They've taken presence in the Middle East. Yeah, let's do this. So we're all okay. And another war success for them. So quite a few VPs coming from the 2 war successes there for them. We control Europe scoring, which is handy for us. Warsaw Pact formed. UN intervention is going to let us get rid of this de Gaulle. So I think we'll just headline this CNS here. Let's go ahead and do that. Pick up a couple of VPs to counteract those wars. And then hope that we don't lose Iran to an AR1 coup here. So Fidel coming down. 2 points for us. And I think given our board position, we probably won't go trying to realign Fidel since it's only turn 2 as well. We've just got too many priorities on the board to try and spread into here. So we'll see if they coup. If they coup Iran, then we get Thailand and Pakistan probably as well, especially since they gave us the China card last turn. I'm pretty happy to hand the China card back to them. Who am I playing? The names are cut off at the top. Oh, well, that's not good. I'll try and fix that. I'm playing a Vividsquire. Oh dear, look at my framing is all terrible today. I'm just going to get rid of this frame. Looks awful. There we go. Let's just go with that. There we go. Vividsquire is who I'm playing. So success on the Iran coup. That is unfortunate. Let's go with, I think we'll go to Libya so that they can't just coup us out of the region entirely if they coup us in Libya. We could coup back in Iran, but don't love it. So I'm going to presume that they've got Middle East scoring. We're going to present the Europe scoring threat. This means that they can go into Pakistan and lock us into Afghanistan. But I think that's a risk that I'm okay taking at the moment. Just because the VPs that we're giving up by not going into Libya there are just too great. And we're presenting a scoring threat here as well. This is going to be, if they don't go into Pakistan here, and if we can just pop the China card next AR, it's going to be a pretty effective China card to go to Pakistan, to Thailand, and into South Korea as well. I might even go to Pakistan, to South Korea, 1 Thailand, to be honest, if we get the opportunity, since Thailand is not currently under threat and we have the decol. Though, of course, the D-style threat is always live, and they do have, despite being a little bit down on influence, there it is, they still have quite a few influence scattered around the board. So I'm going to presume that at least one's going to Thailand, 2 to Thailand. Okay. All right. So we'll go UN intervention, de Gaulle. Into Colombia. Or do we just want to coup Venezuela? Could be a better option here. With Defcon at 3, I'm not sure that it is. Maybe it's better to play into Colombia first. Although it does protect Libya. It's an interesting one. Let's just, so we know what the coup Venezuela option is, but if we were to go one, where can we present other threats here? Now, I think if we coup, it actually lets us spread here as well into Africa, which is good, and just try and finish solidifying Asia. Because I think that's probably better for us this turn. Plus we need the mill-ops. Yeah, let's go for that. So play that event, attempt coup, and I think Venezuela is going to be better for us. And we got them out, which in most instances is not a great result, but in this particular case, it's not too bad. Be careful, 4 more ARs. So we're playing at the rest of our hand. If we play the China card, we still get to hold on to decoll, which is handy. Okay. Cool. So trying to neutralize the power, as we feared, of our China card play, which was going to be pretty good, but now is not going to be as good, unfortunately. So let's go 1, 2. 3, and just try and take as many battlegrounds as quickly as we can here. Let's commit to that. We'll score this Europe, and then we'll try and make a play for Asia. So I think we'll score Europe next. We might independent raids 1 into Pakistan. We might also just make more of a play for the Middle East if they're going to put so many resources into trying to equalize Asia again. But we do want to get one into Zaire as well, and we probably want to take Algeria. So a few priorities for us here. There are lots of options. I mean, this is the thing about Twilight Struggle. Like, we could, at this point in the game, do things like realign Cuba and realign Chile, and that might completely change this trajectory of the whole game if we were to successfully do that. But if we were unsuccessful, it might mean we miss out on things like taking Algeria, which could turn out to be really, really impactful later. In general, you're rewarded, I think, for going for some of the riskier plays. Like, obviously, the impact of wiping them out of Chile and the impact of wiping them out of Cuba is much greater in terms of like probable net scoring impact over the course of the game. But it is a higher risk, and it might just be wasted ops that do absolutely nothing. So I can also see the one Costa Rica this turn could be okay. So we get a free Canada by the looks. Okay, so they're going back to dominating in the Middle East. So I think, I'm pretty sure they do have the Middle East scoring card. Do we want the free Canada, or do we want to overprotect France? I think overprotect France is probably better. So we don't just want to pop that if they're going to get free scores here, but I think they're getting free scores anyway. So we'll give them that. I don't think we're going to interrupt that with any influence placement, given that we lost Israel to that war. So we could have, played one into Jordan as well. Was always an option if we were worried about playing one into Lebanon because of the high Defcon. But we did not do that. Okay, space race in the NORAD. So I think we'll just keep taking board position rather than trying to break into Thailand or Pakistan to flip them with the China card. Or to threaten India. So breaking into both Pakistan and Thailand gives us some access to other countries. We get access to India through Pakistan. We get access to Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Burma, around this way. Those other key countries in Southeast Asia through Thailand. But I much prefer placing influence into these battleground countries and trying to solidify Africa. And I'm also considering one in Costa Rica just to prevent us from getting wiped out of this region here. We are still probably going to play the China card, so we also have to think about that. I actually think for that reason playing the one into Pakistan is better, because then if we are going to play the China card, we can play into India if we want to. But then we don't want to play into Zaire and Algeria on the same turn because it reduces the China card effectiveness. Yeah, it's not an ideal spot. I mean, maybe breaking North Korea is just better because then we're happy to dump that if they have a blank action round next turn. Dump the China card into that is better than dumping it into India. I really want to just take board position though. Maybe we just take Zaire and then we take South Africa and Algeria. So we go Zaire, Costa Rica, and then we go to South Africa, to Algeria with the China card. That might just be better. Does give them a bit of an advantage in terms of battlegrounds in Asia, which I don't love. Like, they've put a lot of resources and most of their D-style into that. But we can hopefully combat that with country count, though that's not necessarily the case. But having Afghanistan for the victory point to offset it somewhat is always helpful as the US. I mean, we are looking at 7 countries where we have the advantage to take them, if you include Japan. Which means they have to take all of the other countries, including Taiwan, which is reasonably expensive if they want to score Asia with domination. That's assuming that we do get Japan next turn, because Japan is also expensive. But we are giving them back the China card, which doesn't really help. So the other option here, if we were to care more about Asia than about Africa, would be to go like 3 into our Southeast Asian countries that we've got adjacency to, and then 1 into Pakistan to open up India for us, for example. Or just jam 5 into North Korea. Which really is not too bad. I presume they'll overprotect it here because they'll probably see that coming. Okay. So they did not overprotect North Korea, so we'll just go ahead and do that. So we got the Asia scoring, which is helpful, so we can headline it here if we don't have a better option. But I kind of like... I don't love headline CIA here because we want to present them with the coup tension anyway. And we do have a good coup threat from nuclear test ban. We may event NORAD this turn, depending on how things go. We could Indo-Pakistani war because it could be quite impactful for scoring, even as a 1 in 3. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Taking an overprotected Pakistan here could be quite strong. We could headline Asia scoring as a more defensive play, but I think I like being more aggressive here. Socialist governments is interesting. We do need to make sure we hold on to NORAD for our last AR just in case they've, redrawn blockade. So the fork that we tried to present them with the last AR play into North Korea play was to have to choose between cooing us and defending North Korea, which is a pretty important battleground. They might have Europe scoring here, I guess. So we did not fulfill the dream of flipping Pakistan, which means we probably won't dominate Asia. So they do have Europe scoring, which they choose to event. So we'll go ahead and 1, 2. We probably don't need to do that. We can, although it would be nice to present them another threat here. We don't need to play back into West Germany now that Europe's scoring's gone again, which does really suck, by the way. So they have the China card, so it is advantage them in Asia. Yeah, I think we want to, because they're almost certainly going to coup next AR. So I think we want to go to Cameroon to try and get Nigeria. And probably Colombia to threaten to go to Venezuela. Although, there is limited utility to that because we don't have a great coup response then, given that we're only cooing with a 2-up. So if they choose to coup Colombia, they're calling our bluff, and we don't love that. So where is the best place for this last influence? Could be Israel. Could just be overprotecting North Korea. No, let's take back... no, that really doesn't matter. They're not going to jam us in West Germany, I don't think. No, but we're not going to have the ops to do that later in the turn. So let's do this. Maybe we can... We just really don't want them jamming into North Korea here. Yeah, we should have overprotected North Korea rather than West Germany. I think that's an error. I don't think they're going to play the China card into North Korea here. They might. And we'd take Africa control as a consolation prize, I suppose. Although we're not even guaranteed of getting that, because if we play into Nigeria, they can coup Nigeria. We can't coup Egypt, and they can coup Cameroon. So yeah, I do regret that West Germany influence there. I think that's an error. So what do we know they've got? They've got defectors. Trying to think of any other key cards that haven't come out yet. We've got CIA and Decol. Romanian Abdication. Not exactly a key card, but they do have that. Alright, so they queued Cameroon, so we get to score Asia, which is kind of nice. Because I think we get, we net 2 VPs there. The other option is to be a bit more aggressive, but I think let's just do this. And then what? They're going to coup Zaire, they're going to coup Angola. I guess we could take South Africa or Botswana first. Actually, I don't want them. I think I'm going to overprotect these because overprotect Zaire. Play into one more in South Africa. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Just because then they can't use a 3-up to flip Zaire, because I think that would actually just be a disaster here. Whereas now if they coup Angola, we can play into Zimbabwe, take South Africa potentially, to protect Zaire from the rail lines and threaten Angola on the rail line. So I think this gives us a bit more flexibility. And if they coup Zaire, they're at a bit more of a disadvantage, and we can overprotect Angola, take South Africa, which I think puts us back in an okay position. Then we can take Algeria, and then things are looking okay. Because we were going to get couped out of one of these countries in Africa this turn anyway, with the way it played out. Like, we traded that for North Korea. Okay, well, that is punished. That's pretty annoying. Let's go 1, 2. Then if they take Burma, we can take another country. And then if they China card us, we're in a bit of trouble. Maybe we take 2 countries here rather than overprotecting North Korea. Just so we're not dominated. I mean, if they jam the China card into North Korea, then so be it, I think. Now. Yes, they've played this turn really well. But I think, like, all of that being said, if we had not put the 1 into Zaire there, like, maybe we could have gone 1 into Zaire, 1 into Asia, rather than the 1 in South Africa. Like, that's probably better. But if we hadn't put the 1 into Zaire, then I think we'd be in a far worse position. If they just flipped Zaire with the Suez Crisis, and then had the coup available, like, we kind of end up in the same tempo situation. So now they coup Zaire, and we can overprotect Angola. Because if we lose that, I think it's even more of a disaster than this Asia scoring being slightly worse for us. hopefully we get to pop this Asia scoring next turn. And then we get to choose either to hold over the decoll or to space it. Okay, that we're okay with. Pop this for 1. So they had a pretty good ops hand this turn in general, but they've just made really, really good use of it. The Suez Crisis, the EU, both were really impactful 3-up plays. And yeah, they've played around the Europe scoring perfectly with the SocGov headline. So now we can, I think, space the decoll to give ourselves some breathing room. The other option is to make an AR7 aggressive play here. Like maybe that's actually better, especially since they've got now 2 African battlegrounds. Maybe we go 1, 2, 3. I think I prefer that in the end. Yeah, I don't mind too much holding a decoll into the first, like into turn 4, just because the deck is so much more in our favor come turn 4. So, nuclear sub's not an ideal headline here, but I think containment is really, really good for us. Just turning a lot of these 1-ops into 2-ops is going to be really impactful given how much spread there is likely to be this turn. And we can actually just event nuclear subs if we want to after headlining containment. So let's go ahead and do that. NATO is not in play because I had it on turn 1, so the special relationship's not perfect. Okay, we will bury you to get around our Colombia threat. But now we can, so they'll coup Colombia, and now we can choose to event the nuclear subs if we want to. Coup Colombia with a 3-up, interesting. Getting rid of Alliance for Progress, sadly. The other option is for us just to coup back in Colombia. But I think I prefer nuclear subsing because then we can coup Venezuela, we're under containment, and we can also coup these African battlegrounds. So I feel like this is actually a pretty strong nuclear subs turn. So I'll go ahead and do that. And it's going to let us fight for, yeah, Nigeria, Zaire, possibly Venezuela as well. And Panama, certainly, if they play into there too. Plus we've got, you know, not an amazing ops hand, but we've just got like a bunch of 3-ups, which are Portuguese Empire Crumbles, not a great 3-up. Special Relationship's going to be a fine 3-up, and I think we're happy to play Ask Not as a 4-op. Okay, so a few VPs for them. I think we'll just coup with Summit here. Will we? Or do we want to coup Colombia first? It's an interesting question. If they have scoring cards in Central America and South America, it's going to be pretty frustrating if we don't place influence. But other than placing into Panama, I'm not convinced that we have too many other great spots to place influence. Israel still okay. Asia not great. Europe not great. Middle East just been scored. So I think the coup's the name of the game. Let's go ahead here. And then, you know, barring something, okay, Africa scoring came out. 2 for us. We'll just now go South America, I think. We might keep the kitchen debates in case we want to event it, though I think that's extremely unlikely. Actually, no, we're unlikely to event it, and I think this is an important enough coup that we're happy to just go for that. Not a great roll. Is So coming back with a 3 up though, which is fine. Allende is not such a big issue since they already have Chile. But I don't really want to just keep cooing here with 1 ops all that much. But so maybe we coup Colombia with the special relationship and try and have a good coup. Because if we can hold Colombia this action round, then we can actually use the Ask Not to spread into Venezuela, take South Africa, and take Panama, which would be nice. So another 3 up coup back on Colombia. Getting it back. Now will Allende coup it. So we've got 2 more ARs. So it's going to be 1 more coup, which is going to be not one of these, not decol rather. It can be Portuguese Empire crumbles. We could event it and then coup ourselves in Angola. Maybe that's okay. Maybe we're okay not taking Zaire this turn if we can try and control Colombia. The other option is to not coup with Allende or to coup Zaire with Allende, but I think Colombia is still a better coup if we can roll well. So come on, good roll here. Yes, all right. We only had to ask. And now I think that puts us, I mean, accepting if they roll really well and have another counter coup here, I think this puts us in a decent spot. Yes, we didn't pick up Zaire, but Africa's just been scored, and South America is going to be a pretty important source of points, I think, in the mid-war now, given everything else has been scored quite quickly. So going with a 4 up in Colombia. Whew, all right. They do know it's important. We're just going to give up Angola and try again. Come on, 1 more good roll. It was asking too much. Well, I've never seen Colombia cooed quite so many times. At least they weren't able to use all those operations to spread, I guess, but you know, they're saying the same. At least we weren't able to use all our operations to coup these African battlegrounds. Okay, interesting. So we'll go 1, 2. 3 for presents. And we could go South Africa. That invites Botswana, but I'm okay with that, I think. The other one is Nicaragua. I think that's our best threat play here for that realign. All right. Well. Latin American death squads could be an okay headline here. We can 5-year plan. Oh, we can't 5-year plan. We're the US. So we're not 5-year planning away any scoring cards. We have duck and cover, which is also an okay headline. But then that just gets rid of our Nicaragua fork, so it's not ideal, but it does protect Venezuela. Bear trap, I think, though, is just better than either of those options because it accomplishes much the same thing unless they have a junta or an ABM, in which case our other headlines don't do much anyway. And it actually gives us the opportunity to spread to Brazil and then still be threatening the Nicaragua realign. So I'm comfortable with that, I think. And if they roll poorly, then we can get off a cheeky South America domination with Brazil and Venezuela and Colombia. So it's got lots of upside. And the board's pretty delicately balanced, so I'm happy to go with that. CA scoring. Frustrating because I think we were going to be heading back in a better direction there. Yeah, very strange seeing so many scoring cards going quite so quickly. So can we present another threat to them beyond the South America domination to try and give ourselves a better chance? I don't think we can really. So the best thing we can probably do is try and equalize the Southeast Asia scoring a bit, since we're going to have to play that, which would be as so. Oh, we've got the coup actually. What am I talking about? So we can coup Angola is probably our best option. Although coup Argentina, since we have the scoring card, is obviously attractive. It's just how well we're going to roll. I think we have to go the higher EV play here. There's going to be more opportunities to coup Angola, very likely, throughout the course of the game, and this is quite important for giving ourselves the best chance of dominating here. So we're going to roll a 5 or a 6 here, I reckon. Let's see. And let's now hope that they don't have a junta or something similar. Realignment. I mean, you gotta pay it. You gotta pay it. So let's go 1, 2. Yeah, 3. I'm very frustrated by that. We can still get this reline happening on Cuba next AR if we want. Depends if we want to pop the South America scoring straight away or not. I kind of do, but there are just such a limited number of cards that could allow them to dominate this turn, one of which being Junta, and I'm pretty sure they would have just haunted into Uruguay and realigned Argentina there rather than realigning for 3 with Cuban Missile Crisis. So I'm fairly confident they don't have Junta here. So assuming they just play 2 into Argentina. Okay, well, it does change things a bit. I was going to say then I'd realign Cuba. I think maybe here we coup Haiti, but I'm not sure. I actually think perhaps playing into Uruguay is good to help protect Brazil. Botswana is also quite important on this board. So Uruguay and Botswana are important, but but we don't have great ops. Yeah, I think I do want to go 1 to Botswana because I don't want them to take it. And if they coup it, like if they shay it, then this like obviously sucks, and that will be annoying. But anything short of shay, I think it's okay. So a few VPs, another VP. Oh, we'll get rid of this one first, I think. I mean, Southeast Asia might get worse, but if they place 2 into Burma here, I think I'm okay with that trade for a VP. And then we might be going to space a couple of times towards the back end of this turn, potentially, depending on how things work out. Cultural Revolution, coup on Botswana. Okay. Well, you know, you win some, you lose some. So they're not taking the China card back anytime soon. But they are making a play there. Look, I think we just have to dump these bad cards, and if they just roll sixes on all their coups and roll well on all their relines, then there's not much we can do about that. But we've got to play the cards we've got in hand, and we have to hope at some point in this mid-war they have a blue event that doesn't go to the bear trap. This has been a pretty strong hand for them. Obviously, Shay and Liberation Theology are probably the two outstanding red events in the mid-war, but they've had both the red 4-ops and Brezhnev, OPEC, and Cultural Revolution, which are three of the better other events. So, and a UN intervention now. Yeah, not ideal. Okay, so they didn't kick us out entirely. We'll space the decal, fail, which means we have to, unfortunately, play one of the other two. It would have been much better to, I think, be rolling for the two VPs here. But alas, it was not to be. And they succeed, so we'll dump the... I don't really want to give them two more VPs here. Like, I'm just... the victory point track is just somewhat concerning. We do need to take back a battleground in Europe, a non-battleground in Europe at some point to get our domination back. We also need to take Mexico to be dominating there. We need to try and flip some things in Africa, but boy, oh boy, this board is just not ideal. So we'll trigger this. We'll go like this. And then pass the turn. All right, so at least we got Shay and Quagmire, which means hopefully they have some bad events in hand. We can headline Voice of America, and it's not hyper impactful, but it does at least hopefully mean that we deprive them of the coup and threaten Cuba or something else like that. Since we can take like 2 from Pakistan, 1 from Haiti, and 1 from Angola. We could also take 2 from Angola, 2 from Pakistan if we don't really care that much about Cuba. We're probably spacing Quagmire and then not wanting to event Shay. So maybe we give up on Cuba just in case we have to event Shay, or maybe we just try the Hail Mary reline with them in Haiti anyway. Or maybe we do get rid of that one with the Voice of America. But I think it's more impactful for us to flip Angola and threaten Pakistan here from a scoring perspective. We've also got Red Scare, though. We've also got Missile Envy. I'm kind of tempted to Missile Envy, I must say. And then maybe try and hold the Red Scare for turn 7. The rest of our hand is a little bit garbo. We do have the South African Unrest, which makes attacking Angola a little worse as well. We can't really attack 2 things in Asia, unfortunately, with our Voice of America. And attacking Angola is a bit worse because of the South African Unrest. I'm trying to get some VPs. We've got Poland as well, potentially, which is worth noting. Attack on Poland, rather, as well. Gosh, 3 really good options. Voice of America, Missile Envy, and Red Scare here. I just don't think that the Voice of America 2 out of Pakistan, 2 out of Angola play is impactful enough, unfortunately. No, maybe it is. Like, it's tough. Headline Missile Envy, then maybe you can present a similar fork for them anyway, because you get the coup, but it's hard. to think about a situation where we can actually force Pakistan later if we do it that way. And I think taking Pakistan here would actually be pretty good. So yeah, let's headline this. Give it a go. Okay. Well, that's actually helpful that we headline Voice of America into that. Oh, in a way, no, but we go first, of course. It's not as good. Geez. I guess it's still okay in that, like, we are still threatening. Do we maybe take out of Zaire instead of Angola here? No, they're going to coup in the headline phase. So they're going to reduce Defcon. So having Zaire empty doesn't matter. Having Angola is better. And they probably get to get their Pakistan back. Yeah. Hopefully they just roll poorly on this coup. But this is why taking Uruguay would have been nice last turn. Okay, well they went Mexico instead. That's okay. That's okay. We can take Pakistan if they don't stabilize it, but they probably will. And if they do, then where do we go? Maybe 2 in South Africa, 1 in Angola, which, you know, does feel pretty bad with South African unrest, but I think we have to play for that. Okay. I just really want to play my own Shay here. that's the unfortunate reality. 1, 2, 3. It's just like, is this better than holding Red Scare? I'm just not convinced that it is. Maybe we just go like this. It's a pretty bad play, but like also who knows what they've got in hand at this point, and at least we're developing the board. Hey, I'm a bit new and you're entertaining. Any tips for the late war? I feel like a lot of it comes down to draws anyways. If you can think of anything, that's all right. I'm hard chilling. All right. Tips for the late war. It really, like, the late war just really depends on the board and where the board's at more than anything else. So, ooh, that's a lucky break. That is a lucky break. Yeah, it depends whether you're ahead or behind, whether you're the USSR or the US. If you're ahead on the board, or if you're trying to play for a War Games victory because, you know, in final scoring you think you're going to lose, but you're currently ahead on VPs, which like might be the situation where our opponent finds themselves, if ideally for us, going into the late war, if things go well for us. But yeah, it's tough to give specific tips for the late war. So we probably want to event that John Paul towards the end of the turn. For now, maybe next AR, like we just have some bad cards. We really don't want to give them this Arab-Israeli war. Maybe we play into Israel then to Lebanon, but then we're giving them another free influence from the Arab-Israeli war. That's the hard thing. Do we care that much about Shay? Okay, so we want to realign Cuba before we Shay. So we want to take South Africa. We don't want to go into Uruguay if we're planning on shaying later in the turn. Maybe we try and get to Guatemala. Are we going to be able to realistically do that? Not really. I think we're going to have to play this Red Scare this turn, unfortunately. Maybe one in Tunisia or one in Ivory Coast. I think we want to go one in Ivory Coast. Oh, no, not if we're going to Shay. Not if we're going to Shay. Ugh. Maybe we actually Shay now and realign here. Oh, yeah. Damn. Oh, well. We got one. So now they can queue us out of Nicaragua. Which, I mean, you know, they get back into Cuba, so maybe that doesn't do heaps, but at least it's a few ops. Yeah. Maybe we queue Haiti now. It doesn't put us back in a great position. I guess it demands a 3-up from them is the advantage of this. Like now they have to, you know, play into Cuba with a 3-up, which they might not have because they might have finally drawn a few good good US mid-war cards. So one into Cuba. So we can take Cuba. I mean, there's obviously always the threat of Ortega, but I think taking Cuba and stabilizing another region here is pretty good for us. And now we can look to South Africa and also playing this Arab-Israeli war with a little more impunity, which is very helpful. Oh man. All right. Well, Tunisia it is. Should have done that earlier. Yeah, try and get the Shay out of your hand before you go into Tunisia to protect Libya and neck minute. In comes Muslim Revolution. I think we're still kind of ahead this turn, even though they've had some pretty powerful plays. With Junta and Brush War obviously failing was great, but Junta and Muslim Revolution. Blockade is still in the deck. So we're going to have to cop the Arab-Israeli war here and just hope that they roll poorly. Because we just have some bad cards in hand. Thankfully, finally a war failure. Oh, I guess the Brush War failed, but the Korean War and the early war, Arab-Israeli war, both succeeded. So we're 2-2. I guess that's evened out. I would have really loved our Indo-Pakistani war to have succeeded. That would have made me so much happier. Oh, Junta, Brush War, and ABM in the one hand. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Well, I guess we'll just event this. See if they want to go realigning. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy hand, especially like being able to back up, set out, expel Soviets with Muslim Revolution. So a lot of the US mid-war advantage comes from the fact that the US events in the mid-war deck are more powerful. But the neutral events are obviously the most powerful cards in the mid-war deck. So if the US player draws both, like if I'd drawn these and my opponent had drawn US events in their place, this turn could have been absolutely horrific for them. But as it was, they drew all the mid-war power cards and had some good red events as well. Like even blockading us there would have been pretty good. We had the Quagmire, but they'd put a reasonable amount of we'd put a reasonable amount of ops out already onto the board. Yeah, it's a pretty good hand. Our hand was fine. Like we had some really good options. We had Voice of America, we had Red Scare, we had Missile Envy, which is a really nice US neutral headline in the mid-war, but we haven't had them drawing like Grain Sales plus Usura River Skirmish plus X other bad cards, Sadat and Camp David, OAS Founded, those sorts of things. And plus they got to get rid of Alliance for Progress for 0, which just made me absolutely tear up. All right, so at least we get a bit more presence back in the Middle East now. We can give them South African unrest in order to take like Lebanon and Jordan, which I think I'm okay with here. Like they get an extra one in Angola, an extra one in Botswana, or they just take 2 in South Africa. Either way, Southern Africa is looking like a bit of a basket case for us, given everything. So I think we'll just do this. Oh no, that doesn't even up country count. Maybe we'll put 2 into Poland then, or 1 into Lebanon, 1 into Poland. Yeah, I think I like that. All right, so we're in a little bit of trouble on the scoring front. I don't think there are any lethal regions to us yet, but obviously that can change. But we just don't have a lot of positive scoring options coming our way. So PCR is not really going to help with that. OAS founded helps a tiny bit. Like it lets us put 1 in Guatemala, 1 in Argentina, for example. So I think that's actually a pretty good headline for us here. Cuban Missile Crisis is okay. Protect one of our African or South American battlegrounds. But I think presenting a dual threat, it might even be better to go 1 in Mexico, 1 in Argentina, so that if they coup one of our battlegrounds, then we get to take 1 back, and then they have to repair, but then we've got access to Guatemala through Mexico. So I think that's better. Yeah, let's headline that. I guess the other thing for us is that we've prioritized having those more tempo setting AR7 plays over spacing things at the end of our turn, and maybe if we'd gone to space a bit more frequently, it would have been better for us. So we'll place 1 Mexico, 1 Argentina. If we can pick up Central America control here, that would be handy, just to give ourselves a little bit of a stabilization on the VP front. Because it feels like we're close. Like I think we're one good hand away from really driving home an advantage, but they're also 1 scoring card away from winning if they can tilt either Africa or the Middle East a little more in their favor. So I'm not a huge fan of that. We've also got one small step here, so if they do go to space, we can gazump them for the 3rd space spot. So I might just try and hold on to that for later in the turn if I can, because they've got grain sails in hand this turn. So they're probably going to space with that at some point, I imagine, and not wanting to hold on to a Defcon suicide card going into the late war. Chinese players would agree. Yeah, Chinese players would definitely agree with the... And unfortunately, because of the lone gunmen, they were able to repair Argentina. But we pick up a couple of VPs from Nixon, which is good. And now we can take Mexico if we want to. Which I think we will. Like making it more difficult for them to break our control there is good. They can still realign Cuba at +0, I suppose. So cooing with a low op card would be nice here. But I guess we could coup with PCR. But it would kind of probably be nice to play that. Like it is 3 ops and getting an extra one in Costa Rica is not irrelevant. And I feel like cooing Haiti is probably a little bit worse. Plus we probably want to coup with a 2-up. Okay, well, shuttle diplomacy helps. We can now take Poland with U2 incident or with NATO. So if we take it with NATO, then we can put 1 into South Africa as well. But I feel like South Africa is just not a great place for us to be placing influence at the moment. Yeah, I think Poland's probably the place to go. It's just worth so many VPs. But do we do it with the NATO or do we do it with a 3-op instead? We go 1 into Uruguay. The other thing we've done is hold the China card, which has been an attempt by me to try and force our opponent into some bad hands. And I think we're finally now seeing at least something come of that. Like you can see here, a lot of these US events, like I was saying last turn, if they had fewer neutral cards and more of these powerful US events in their hands, at least they're sort of leeching some victory points, leeching some other things along the way, some advantage through things like shuttle diplomacy, which is also, you know, actually victory points at the end of the day. Independent Red's not doing anything for us other than losing us South Africa. Oof, okay. So we do need to honor this issue here and go 1, 2, 3. Oh, other way around. 1, 2, 3. Fortunately, it puts us to 13, but you know, I think that's a pretty important play. Warsaw Pact removed. Warsaw Pact is removed. Yes, there is no Warsaw Pact in the deck anymore. Which, you know, does give us the opportunity for a Europe control victory here if we draw tear down this wall next turn. But we're also under puppet governments here, so we're 1 down. They're 1 down in Asia, rather. So they're not giving us Burma. What do we want to take here? Gulf states could be important. If we were to take Israel, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, place 5. So we might put 1 into Gulf states just in case we want to take it. Might put 1 into Dominican Republic. Or maybe Guatemala is better. I mean, maybe without Shea, they're pretty disincentivized to actually coup it, whilst we control Mexico. And it just having 1 non-battleground in Central America really helps. And then I don't think there are any other places that give us sort of access, but taking another country in Africa probably wouldn't hurt. We could take another, like Ecuador or something in South America, or move into Ecuador or something else in South America rather. Or we could get a head start on Taiwan, because let's see, we're currently sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we get US Japan here in the reshuffle, if they give Japan to us at any point, or if we just take Japan, then we're actually dominating Asia, so we don't really need Taiwan. We haven't got we haven't got Formosan in play anyway. Yeah, I think it's Zimbabwe gives us the most access. Let's space Quagmire. It's a success. So we're not going to be playing 1 small step. We know they don't have it, which is useful in this situation. Hopefully they don't go to space here with the grain sales, but they do. So they waited us out, but that's okay. We'll just event this to protect our stuff a bit more, I think, and then we'll coup with 1 small step. Yeah, I'm happy to protect a bit more with PCR rather than using it as a 1-up coup. I just don't think that's important enough given how that turn played out. It does mean that we either have to play De Gaulle or Liberation Theology, or play the China card. I don't really want to play the China card because I think we're still a chance to kill them with Defcon since CIA is still in the deck. We have lost grain sales. Oh, here we go. Sorry. Nice. So we can go into Japan, or we can go into India and Pakistan here. I think we probably want Pakistan and India is better, especially since US Japan's still in the deck. Cool. Do we give them back the China card to take Pakistan? I don't think so. I think we coup to get some mill-ups on Colombia. And then we might just play De Gaulle as an empty action round and move on. Oh, as if they redrew it. Oh my god. All right. Well, one in France and one in Pakistan could still be okay here. I think it's pretty good. Gives us Asia domination. The other option was 2 in Japan, but I just don't think it's right. So headline Asia scoring, just in case they have older James, might be the way to go. Don't really want to missile envy, just in case they degrade Defcon and then we hit Soviets shoot down KAL. It's actually riskier headlining missile envy in the late war as the US. Glasnost gives us a coup. UN intervention lets us get rid of Ortega or something else, so we're not in any danger of Defcon. I think we'll just headline Asia scoring and hope that they can't repair that in the headline phase. Oh, does this let them do it? They have to go for a non-battleground in Asia. Oh no, if they brush swap Pakistan, it works, I guess. Okay. Oh, huge! They brush swap their own country and failed. Massive. That is awesome. All right, I feel good now. Feeling good. So that shuttle diplomacy giving us 7 or 5 VPs. Pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. So Defcon at 3, and they need to coup or repair Pakistan. So we've still got that fork from AR7, which was good. Oh man, I tell you what, them taking back that China card though, did my head in. So a coup in Libya, ouch in terms of VPs. Let's go. So we've only currently got 1 non-battleground, but I think overprotecting France is still more important here. So firepower is not a concern for us. We want to play a 3-up. Because we want to take Pakistan, but we want to coup with Glasnost, and we don't want to give them socialist governments, so we'll play an evil empire. That's the answer. 1, 2, 3. So they could... We don't want them controlling the Middle East here, though. So with a 4-up, they get Israel, which is not ideal. But thankfully, we've got Glasnost, which is not guaranteed. Like, it's a coup, but coups are just coups. They can fail. And we'd be giving them 2 VPs as well. So if they've got a 4, if they want to play the China card to take Israel, then they get Middle East control, which if they've got the scoring card is still pretty dangerous here. And then we'd have to go into a mode of trying to just manually break their countries in the Middle East to stop them scoring. Okay, so if they are taking Israel, not even using the China card, taking control. So we'll UN intervention the Ortega into Iran. And then we'll just keep spending the rest of this turn, I think, trying to break their control a little bit by poking these countries until we get to a point where our Glasnost has a higher chance of succeeding because we've actually got 2 of our own influence in one of these countries. Urian Samantha is going to cost us a VP though if we do that, so we'll use the missile envy to probably break Egypt or Iran, depending on what they do here. Okay, so we'll break Egypt because of Iranian hostage crisis. Probably could have just done this last turn, actually, rather than doing Iran. I actually had forgotten about Iranian hostage crisis temporarily. So Egypt, and then we coup Egypt. Maybe they have Middle East and Africa, and we're in a lot of trouble. That's possible. So trigger and coup Egypt. Not ideal. Yeah, I'm getting nervous now. So we go to space with liberation theology next. Because they're just going to retake Egypt. Sad times. Actually, maybe we... Oh, okay. Yep. Maybe we break once more with Yuri and Samantha. Because I think giving them the 10 is just too dangerous here. And then we can just break again. Like, it's just so many VPs to give them control. Like, it's 3 VPs, and I don't think us playing socialist governments is going to cost us 3 VPs here. I could be wrong. But particularly if we can use 1 to repair. Yeah, I think if Europe gets scored, then we're in decent shape. I mean, they can take 2 from the UK, I suppose, but then we just event it first, and we can just put 1 back into Canada or 2 into Mediterranean countries. So... yeah, I don't think SocGov is going to be a huge issue, or rather 1 into a Mediterranean country. So yeah, I mean, like, maybe prioritizing Pakistan was wrong when Israel was hanging there as the kind of gateway to control in the Middle East. But I felt like taking Pakistan made our inevitability stronger. And if we died of war games or something, then, you know, so be it. Okay, so let's trigger this. So they're really going all in on this Middle East scoring. So because of Marine barracks bombing, we will not play into Lebanon. Playing the China card, indeed. It is a thing. We'll go 1 into... no, we won't go into France. We're just going to play these all into the Middle East. So 1 into Jordan and 1 into Egypt. And then... presumably we're going to see the Middle East scored, or maybe not. Maybe we're going to see them play into Europe or something similar. What's your opinion on war games? I like war games. I think it's good for the game. Boggles my mind this game was BGG #1 for so long. Cool game, but very much not appealing to a wide audience. Yeah, that's true. It's quite strange. We'll pass our 8th action round. Yeah, it's a narrow audience, but it's a very good game. IMO. Tear down this wall seems good. We can blockade ourselves and get rid of something useless. We can colonial rear guards and do heaps for us. Actually, colonial rear guards does a fair bit, but we're not going to do that in the headline phase. Iran-Iraq war is pretty good. Maybe we headline that. So headlining tear down this wall is nice because we're heading towards Europe control by doing that. Headlining and it almost certainly it gets us a good chunk of the way there. But we can also play tear down this wall in the middle of the turn after we repair West Germany, and it maybe is even more powerful. Iran-Iraq war helps us if they do have the Middle East scoring card and they're planning to headline it. But it is a 5+, it's a 1 in 3 that it makes a difference. So I'm kind of I'm tempted to tear down this wall and just try and win that way. But again, the fact that it's less powerful now kind of isn't ideal. Less powerful because we'll be realigning at +0 rather than +1. And we could coup, but I think cooing is not so good. We have nothing else to degrade Defcon in the headline phase. Solidarity is not already ahead in Poland. No, I think colonial rearguards is the other one, but it doesn't get us heaps. It doesn't really impact battlegrounds. It just impacts non-battlegrounds. Yeah, let's just do this. Yeah, Brezhnev Doctrine. Okay. Well, we got it. Whew. Got to play quick because I've only got 6 minutes left to do 2 turns. That was pretty huge. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to place some influence using Solidarity. Maybe the China card. It's one of those games I'm really annoyed to have drawn Shay twice as the USA. But at least I can hopefully space it this time. Nigeria, eh? Alright. Wasn't Revolution is playable? Yeah, okay, we haven't played OXL Societies. So I kind of want to flip Nigeria back is the thing. But I don't really have a playable 3-up to do it with because I can't play Shay, tear down this wall I need to use in Europe. So let's just go with China. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well, they dumped the Europe scoring just in time. But we're still going to do this. We'll event it. And we'll realign. Not ideal. Much better. Excellent news. All right. So we are on like Donkey Kong. Unfortunately, they had the Europe scoring card, not us, but at least we got the VPs out of it. And now we just have to not die to time. I mean, obviously they can fight us on ops for East Germany as well. Oh, they're under Brezhnev Doctrine. So it looks like I'm probably not going to win by Europe control. Because of Brezhnev. Because I'm not... But still, having this many countries in Europe and forcing them to play like this is still helpful. Okay. So we need to start doing some other things. Like... the hand's just so awkward. Anyway, we'll just do this, I think. 1, 2... 3... 4... Yeah, I think we just need to keep the pressure up as we get towards the end of the game, and we should be okay. We have given them China, so we need to be careful of North Korea a little bit here. So I'll probably chuck one in there towards the end of the turn. We also want to probably take Uruguay and Brazil and maybe try and overprotect our Central American countries, and then I think we should be fine from there. We do need to be careful of Iranian hostage crisis still, though, because that can easily gift them back control there. And they are still under Brezhnev, so they have, you know, plenty of ops for the remainder of this turn. All right. They can all stay. We'll place influence into... Oh, do not discard. We'll place influence into... I just think we don't want to risk playing Shay or Pershing to flip one of these African battlegrounds. It's just not worth it at this point. So I'd rather just solidify other things. So I'm going to probably overprotect North Korea. Well, decal, yuck, okay. One, two, that'll do. Just because this gives us surety on country count. I mean, we're already pretty sure in Asia, but it just helps a little bit more. Look, it may have been better to go North Korea or Pakistan or even South Korea there. But okay, Soviets shoot down goes to space. We'll also go to space with a Pershing. And then we're going to play blockade, discard Shay, and hold the Muslim Revolution in case they play AWACS out to Saudis. Or if they just kick us out of Iran, then we just don't really care, losing Jordan. And we'll just play a 4-op. Okay. So we'll even that up. We'll just choose Asia, trigger event, discard Shay, Plays into Algeria. All right, 3 minutes to go. Let's Red Scare or Star Wars. Star Wars, I'm sure there's something good in here. You can play Grain Sales or Soviets Shoot Down. Probably be Soviets. Shoot Down KL 007. See what they headline. One, two. 3, 4. That'll do. Africa scoring gone. Very good. So we look like as long as we can get through this in time, we should be okay with this hand. How many ARs do we have? 7 to play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we need to play Aldrich James last, which means we need to play everything else. So we need to hope they play AWACS Sales to Saudis here. Okay, ABM's a good start. Turns off my kitchen debates, which is sad because that was going to be my play. Let's just surround Algeria. Okay. Problem is we don't really have a good coup response here, but that's okay. We'll do this one. Oh no. Yep, bit of Morocco action. Nothing like it. Marine barracks bombing. Surprised they didn't go us there. Okay. Place influence 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm just playing for time here, really. That was almost certainly not the optimal use of that influence, but we'll just make do. So we're probably going to try for last AR Aldrich Ames realigns. Okay, reform is not ideal. So we'll just play this Hunter. Let's play Muslim Revolution trigger event. Yep. 45 seconds, so I've got to be quick. Yeah, a bit worried about things taking time. Ah, there's the AWOC sales, very good. All right. Whew. Just got there. So our opponent graciously not taking the win away from us because we went 1 second over time on that last click, which is nice. Whew. That was their plan with VOA. Fair enough. I mean, I guess, you know, the clock's there for a reason. But yeah, good sportsmanship from our opponent to let us not time out there. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And yeah, thanks Vividsquire for a great game. And hope you guys enjoyed the action. Catch you next time.